just making a little bit of use of this rainfall we've had last night. We had these beds prepared over the last couple of days. We've just done a little bit of refurbishment, add a little bit of seaweed, add a little bit of fish emulsion, some biocast, some of our compost, but also some of our in situ pathways. So basically we use a forest mulch in the pathways, use it as a pathway, and then let it break down over about 6 months to 8 months, and then use that back into the gardens, and gives a really good carbon insertion. So now we're just putting our corn out, but prior to putting the corn in, yesterday I went through and I did a seed casting, and that mix was made up of beetroot, maybe Mangel Wurzel, some Detroit, and some ruby red. We had some Nantes and some all seasons carrot mix in with that, a couple of different types of bunching onion, a couple of leek, definitely 2 or 3 different versions of smaller growing lettuce, and just made a mix up in a jar, then poured it into my hand, casted it through, and then just literally rubbed it into the ground. Now we did that before the rain, so we knew the rain was coming last night, and that's allowed that to soak in, and it's in other words, the seed is just under the surface, which is where it should be, not way down. And now we've come back in the morning to plant out our corn, which we've had prepared. Obviously this has been going for about 2 weeks, 2.5 weeks. There's a mixture of open pollinated and some hybrid corn, so yeah, we are using some sweet honey and whatnot. But this corn here now has to get in the ground. It's getting a little bit tall. Just want to point out, and I'll just put these pots out of the road here, you'll see the newspaper in the base of the tray. So when we wash these, when we wet these down and give it a good wash through, that paper soaks in some of the water. It's a great spot for the roots to continue their growth while you're waiting to get these in the ground. So now we're putting them in the ground. It's just a simple case of squeezing either side of the punnet, right, popping them out, and they've got some decent roots on them. And we're going to come down, and if you have a look at my little pattern, you can put corn in a number of ways. I usually stagger the system, and on a bed like this, which is about 1100 wide, I'm able to get 4 rows of corn, and they're roughly between sort of 250 and 300 millimeters apart. So it is a little bit tight, but we also know how good our soil is. So we know that we've got the nutrient and the energy in the soil to be able to handle this intensive planting of corn. And also the fact that there's already seed in here, so at some point, once this corn starts to get up, that seed is going to germinate, and we're going to have, beetroot, onion, lettuce and carrot and all that popping up through, and that creates the ground cover. Now, partway through the growth of the corn, we can cut into that cycle, and we can plant in maybe beans or some small cucumbers, which could then be the standard, 3 sisters plant guild that you can add to the corn, and then that gives another layer, another forest layer, so it creates a webbing throughout the corn. So in the end, you end up with a canopy, a sub canopy based on the webbing from the climbers, and then you've got a ground cover, a little bit like a herbaceous, and a nice layering that takes care of the soil and prevents it from evaporating as quick as what it would do in summer. So this is a quick little system, guys. It's really easy. You do have to time in with the elements, right? Yes, we've got some drip irrigation in here, but it's minimal irrigation. So we are definitely relying on good soil, high carbon, and the fact that we're going to get this soil covered very quickly. Hope that gives you a little helping hand with your gardening, and make use of this rain, guys, if you're in New South Wales. And just to top that off, just letting you guys know that it is mid-January at the moment, so we are right in the middle of summer. And at the moment, if you can't get good ground cover, mulch thickly. We got the corn in place. We've put our temporary protection systems in. You'll tell by how low the tunnels are that these are only designed for the early part of the growth of the corn. So once the corn gets to about 300 mil high, we actually start to remove the netting. It is only there to prevent mostly birds. We have a big problem with birds here, and a little bit to do with the rats. It gives a good start. It's worked for us over these last sort of 8-9 years since we've started doing this. And once we get to that stage where the nets come off, the actual hoops stay in place because they can help support the corn a little bit, and the nets get folded up and get used on the next go around. But guys, this is a great little system. It also helps with hail. It helps with strong winds in the early stages. So it does a great job. Wishing you all the best in the garden, guys. Have a great day.
Bye.